So good morning, everybody. This is Laura Beddoe coming in from the Healing Rooms for Feel Good Friday. Today we have a very special guest. She is a channel to the divine. Her name is Kahreela, and I'm not going to try and pronounce herself, so I know I'm going to get it wrong. Yeah, we met through a special women's circle that we both attend, and she is so earthy and grounded. She just has so much humility, and yeah, she's just an absolute treasure to be around. Her energy is fantastic, and we have been both going to the Red Tent Experience mornings, which my most recent blog mentions. She is going to be at the Healing Fest experience in 2 short weeks. Can you believe? The lead up has just been insane. So many bumps in the road. As we've just discussed in this virtual call just before we came on, if there is any resistance, usually it does mean that something absolutely magical is about to happen. So without any more introduction, I just wanted you to just introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honoured to be here and part of your amazing energy and path, and thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm feeling very glowy from that one.
The love is here.
Love, sisterhood. I'm so excited about the Healing Festival as well. That's going to be totally amazing. And like we were saying just before we recorded, in my experience of my path, resistance and bumps in the road and all of those things are a sign that it's going to be really transformational and really magical. And I think that my path is one that is very much about transformation. I think the reason that I know about that resistance rule is because my path is everything in my path is about creating change and transformation, really. I have a company called Starlight Temple, and there are 4 pillars to the Starlight Temple. One of them is about channeling and the divine conversation. One of them is about shadow work, which sounds very, very scary, but it's just about working with your subconscious to create change and transformation. One of them is about earth work and portals, so working with the collective consciousness and the land to create change on a kind of bigger level, on a collective level. And then the last one is about the return of the temple ways, so reclaiming the ceremony, the lost ceremonies and temple ways of living in our lives. And so those are kind of the 4 pillars of my path, but all of them involve a lot of transformation and change, and sometimes the resistance, especially if it's a big thing, the resistance just goes nuts before a Starlight travel journey, which is going to be loads of big change for everybody coming. So it made me laugh today that we started with resistance.
Yeah, well, there's certainly been a lot of resistance for surrounding the Healing Fest, with the first venue and then the coronavirus, and then, but it's been going online. It's going to be a really magical 2 days, and the speakers that I've got, I just feel so honoured. That's been in the industry now for a short 16 months.
Wow.
A holistic field, and learning and growing, and yeah, just watching my clients, but also myself blossom, you know. And I'm sure that you're the same in what you do, is that you're not just teaching, you're always learning all the time, and you just you know, sometimes when I have a bit of resistance and I think, oh, I'm going to know this already, go out of the ego self and be like, actually, no, you're going to learn something. And I always do. So
always. And actually, my guides talk a lot about the importance of returning to the foundation. We run a course in channeling every year, and every year I do it, and it starts at the very basic level of channeling. And every year, my whole being forces myself to revisit the foundation of channeling, because it improves me so much. And I actually asked my guides about why it had such a huge impact on my channeling gift to return to the foundation. And they said that they said that it's like swimming. So when you first learn to swim, you swim in shallow water, and only when you know how to swim are you able to go into deeper water. And so when you revisit the foundation of something you already know, that's when you find the depths of it. That's when you are able to swim in deeper water with it. And so actually, I think it's really important to the things that you feel like you know are the things that you should most go and rediscover in a way, because they're the things that you're ready to go into the depths of by entering in through the foundation again.
that's such a beautiful way to explain it as well.
Mm.
And it is. And I think that concept works for anything, whether you've been doing something for 20 years or 1 year. I think when you start to lose your way a little bit, going back to basics is always going to be something that massively improves you, massively, yeah, it just opens you up to new possibilities, new opportunities. So yeah, that's such a beautiful way to look at it. I'm always inspired by what you say.
Oh, thank you. None of it's mine. Spirit, I can't take credit for very much.
Yes, and that's actually funny enough you mentioned that. So I did the humming this morning before we came on, and I was reminded of that in my humming, that it was a reconnection that it's not me. I'm just the
vessel
for the message. It's not me. It's what's coming through me, and that's what was happening this morning with the humming. We'll go into that in a bit greater depth, but I've added some bits and pieces that I'm going to be using in my practice 100% with the
amazing
for my clients and my sessions and everything. So yeah. Okay, so just talk a bit about when you sort of realised that you had gifts. Tell us a bit more about you. I'm really interested as well, because I don't really know much about you, about your channeling.
I do not have an exciting awakening story like some people have, where they were just walking along one day and was hit by lightning. Mine was much more I got into self-help and spirituality fairly young. I was very, very, very unhappy as a child and a teenager. My mum was very sick when I was born, and so there's a massive gaping mother wound in me, and I would say I was clinically depressed as a child, which is fairly rare for children. And then hormones kicked in, and as a teenager I was even more distressed. And so I was looking for anything to figure out how to be happy. And so I was just trying to find out how to do life and be happy. And then very slowly, with quite a lot of adventures in lots of ways, through trying to be happy, I found out more about things like energy. And I remember one of the really significant moments was when I first saw energy. I'd made the mistake of going on holiday with an ex. And that had gone horribly wrong.
Oh dear.
And I was very, very
I can relate to things like that.
I was very upset, and I was very like distressed, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm with all of her friends, and I'm stuck in Spain. I went and sat out on the rocks, and at the time I was really into Paul McKenna, but I'd also just read a book that had talked about seeing energy, and I was like listening to this Paul McKenna CD, trying to make myself feel better. And then I was like, I want to see energy. And then when I opened my eyes, I could see energy. And that was a massive turning point.
Wow.
Seeing is believing. And so after that, I started healing, which is definitely a type of channeling. And then I started to meet lots of different channels, and I really wanted to do the voice channeling and the wordy style channeling. And I remember reading a book at the start of Solara Anhara's book, who is one of the most important people in my path, one of the most important teachers in my path. And
so what's her name? So I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to post it into the link so people can find her if they're interested.
Yeah, Solara Anhara, she's amazing channel, and does all sorts of really useful meditations and things like that. And I'd, you know, at the time I was begging her to teach channeling, which she used to do, and then she stopped doing. She does it now, but at the time she wasn't doing channeling teaching. And in her book, she was talking about a book called Opening to Channel. And so I ordered it. And before the book arrived, I'd started channeling. It was like, as soon as I kind of gave permission for this gift to happen, it happened. And then, of course, I did do lots of training to improve it and evolve it. But one of the things I teach about channeling is it is a birthright. And very often your guides are just asking, they're waiting for you to use your free will to ask for the gift to open, and then it starts. And yeah, and then a couple of years later, I was for December 2012, Solara was doing a big light work project in Avebury. And suddenly all of this guidance was coming through me about the land and the sacred site. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, you know what, run part of the workshop. And I was like, you know, like really nervous. And then not long after that, she moved to Ibiza, and she handed me her mailing list and said, if you want to take over teaching my meditations in the UK, you can. And so
how lovely.
Yeah, so I never planned to do this path. It was very much gifted to me in lots of ways. And then since then, it's just kind of unfolded in a very magical, often challenging way. But yeah.
Okay. So is that Starlight Temple? That was hers prior to her passing?
No, she's always been Solara Anhara. And actually nobody came. She handed me her mailing list, and nobody came because everybody was very interested in Solara, as is with teachers. But it was enough to kind of get me started and get me on Meetup and get me in the flow of the idea that I could maybe hold space and teach. And so yeah, that's how it all started, really.
I'm sorry that you had not a very nice start in life, but I think with gifts, I think most of us do. have the greatest start, and then that's kind of how we evolve into who we are.
You know,
It becomes our strengths.
My life was very, there were many rocky bits in the start of my life. Even, you know, my mother had postnatal psychosis. It was very serious.
Yeah.
And then as a teenager, I went very, very wild when I was 16 and lived
I?
all sort of. And then had a lot of abusive relationships and all of it. And but you know, I owe all of that. I mean, I've kind of come full circle now, and I'm so grateful for the soul contract of my mother and everybody who challenged me, because I wouldn't be walking the path I'm walking now. I wouldn't have looked for happiness in the way that I did. So they gave me my path as much as Solara did. And also, you know, my path is shadow work, which is really working with the deepest traumas, and often in shadow you find incredible amounts of pain and trauma, and it's about releasing that. And there is, if I hadn't lived the life that I have lived, there is no way I would be able to hold space for people's shadow. There is no way I would be able to take them into that trauma, to help them purge it. There is no way, if I hadn't lived a very, very wild 16 to 23-year-old years, I would have the lack of judgment to be able to face anything in there. So it's like, you know, the soul choices that I made eventually, and it does take time, but eventually you just become so grateful for everything that has grown out of them. That our wounds are how our path grows. And so yeah, I'm really grateful. Really grateful.
I know it doesn't sound strange to me, but because I am also the same, I'm very grateful for all of the experience that I've had and the depths of the darkness that I've been to, because again, the same as you, it enables me to be able to hold the space. It enables me to have humility as well, to not judge somebody's story. And you know, I'm human. Sometimes I do. Everybody judge. From time to time, you do go.
Of course, yeah.
But then I have to remind myself. Hang on a minute. Who are you to judge this person? Look where you've been. Look what you've experienced. And without those experiences, I don't think that I would be able to. I don't think I would be like that at all. So, yeah, I'd have huge gratitude for the darkness, and the most beautiful things have grown from those spaces for me, and watching some of my clients as well. Yeah, it's really lovely, and it's an amazing gift
Amazing gift,
isn't it?
Definitely. And you know, everything is born in the dark. And so whenever you're in those dark periods, you're in a state of rebirth. And my guides actually said something that blew my mind not that long ago. I think it was this year. They said, in shadow work, pain is medicine rather than something that needs to be medicated. Because in shadow work, you're actually working with the pain to heal your DNA, to heal your karma, to ascend yourself. The pain is actually the energy that is used, A, to get into the shadow, and B, to recycle it. It's the energy that is essentially the energy of the dead leaves on the tree. That is the energy that is used for your resurrection or your rebirth. And so kind of the more pain you have, the more rebirth potential you have in this lifetime, the more alchemical potential you have in this lifetime. And so
It obviously never feels good at the time.
It never feels good. Although I have to say, and it took me years, but I have to say now, after becoming fluent in the language of alchemy and shadow work, now, even though pain is not comfortable, I don't have contraction with it. And so I am able to kind of be in the perspective of moving it and feeling happy about being inside that transformational process. And actually, it's not as uncomfortable when there isn't that contraction. It's just like, you know, my guide said something else. They were like, pain and pleasure are actually the same thing. They are how you know you're alive. And it's just one is contracted and one is flowing. So in some ways you can almost get to the state where the pain is pleasurable, even though your mind is going, this shouldn't be pleasurable. But if you can get enough flow in it, it can be.
And that takes a lot of practice.
Massive amount of practice.
It's like the observing self, isn't it? So you're, rather than you actually feeling what is happening to you, if it's happening to you, the flow state of it's happening for you, observing. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Or happening through you. So it's like, so I say this all the time, but as humans, we have been taught to contract to pain, whether it is emotional pain or physical pain. You know, even the word is even used in birth, like contract. Whereas actually what most animals do is expand through pain. And if we can relearn to expand through pain, that is how you let go.
Okay.
So rather than when you contract, you're holding
that resistance,
and it's creating resistance. Whereas when you learn to actually expand the pain, which feels really unusual at first because we've been so taught to contract it, that's when it becomes something that is almost like pleasure of release, pleasure of surrender, pleasure of letting go.
Yeah.
And pain just becomes something that you need to let go of. And so it becomes a very ceremonial thing rather than something that plagues you or harms you.
Okay. I'm sure that's another conversation you can have another time, as we're going to be here for all day. Yeah. So I'm going to go on to the humming. Now, I don't know whether you're open to do any channeling, maybe for the guests today.
Yeah, of course.
See if anything comes through.
Of course.
Also, just about how that came about and what. So, obviously, you wanted to get it out to as many people as possible. And the first time I ever sat and did it alone for 20 minutes, it came to me that I wanted to help you with spreading the message. So, and I thought it would be better rather than me coming on talking about it. Or it would be 100% better coming from you because it was from you. So I invited you on.
Well, thank you so much. The humming started. I have a group, a course that's running that is about channeling development training, and the guides were giving them home plays to practice their channeling, and one of the home plays was that they needed to hum actually for half an hour. And when the guide said that, it's like, really?
And I love that your honesty as well, because it's not always, you know, when I, you know, these things that I do, just like, oh my goodness, my fiance is going to think I've lost it.
Like, that sounds really boring. No. But then what happened is the group started coming back to me and was like, that humming was amazing. And so I was like, all right, maybe I'll try this humming thing. You know? And I tried it and it was so amazing. Like the first 5 minutes were a bit kind of heady and awkward, and I was a bit aware of my breath and aware of my voice and aware of other people in the house. And then after about 5 minutes I was gone and I was in this like chamber of light and like had lost sense of time and space, and my vibration was getting so high, and like the half an hour went so quickly. When the alarm went off, I was like, how has it been half an hour? And the homework itself from the channeling course was to do a hum for half an hour and then channel about the humming process. And literally as I started channeling, I don't think I've ever felt my guides come in with such a force. They were like, it is essential that people are humming at this time. You've just experienced what it does to your vibration. And they said that basically Mother Earth is dreaming. She's dreaming the new age, the age of Aquaria. And while she's dreaming, she's essentially creating the vibrational score that will be the age of Aquaria. And this vibrational score is rising up on her out breath and falling back down as frequency on her in breath. And when you hum, what you are doing is you are harmonizing into those frequencies. Sorry, my dog's scratching. What you're doing is you are harmonizing into those frequencies. And these frequencies, they said, are the Eden frequencies. And so they hold the potential of the golden age of Aquaria. And when you hum, you're bringing them into the system of the self. So you're helping the human collective consciousness vibration to raise. You're helping the vibration of the planet to raise. The plants and the crystals are actually doing this. That's what they're doing at this time. We can't hear it, but they're humming to catch the frequencies, so that they can start to be recycled into the golden age, into the creation of the golden age. And when you hum, you are bringing that potential, you are awakening the potential of your Aquarian path, and you are raising your vibration. There's all sorts of reasons to be doing this humming. You're serving the mother, you're speeding up the cocoon process, because the more frequencies that are received, the cocoon process being the lockdown process, because the more frequencies that are received, the quicker this ascension process can be, basically. And most importantly, you feel better. You feel so liberated and so high vibrational. And it was just so strong that this message had to be passed on. It said it had to be 20 minutes. They explained about the humming, actually in the red tent, for the channeling for the red tent. They said it's like blending. So what happens when you're humming is you are blending the Piscean frequencies in with the Aquarian frequencies, the New Eden frequencies that are coming in, and the humming actually causes that blending. And so a lot of people, when they're humming, they're hearing like a big reverb going on in their voice, and that's the blending of these frequencies of your Piscean self and your Aquarian self.
So it's like the vibration. So in my meditation earlier, in my humming, I had a real strong visualization at the end, nearer to the end. Like you said, at the beginning, it's a little bit uncomfortable breathing in and humming, and how does this humming sound, and you're in yourself.
Yeah.
Then once you let go, and then you're just humming, and I kind of was doing it into each chakra to focus, but then kind of lost all space, time, and then visualization start to come in for me. And up nearer to the end, I was seeing on the humming out, it was like I was sending a white light was expanding from my heart, and it was like it was sending a frequency out, and then I was receiving all of the love back on the in-breath. That's how it felt to me. So as she was just explaining that to me, I was like, okay, wow, that's amazing.
And I agree about that white light. Like, I really feel that white light when I do the humming. It's like suddenly I'm in, or I'm part of this amazing light. And that's the best way I can describe it as well. It's unreal. And so the frequencies are that Gaia is dreaming, that Mother Earth is dreaming, are beyond bliss. They are not if you imagine bliss as being the highest frequency in the Piscean age, these frequencies, they're versions of happiness and bliss and peace that we can't even imagine. And so that's why the humming is so amazing, because it takes you into vibrations that are beyond what your limited Piscean consciousness can actually name and imagine.
Okay. There's also something else I want to tell you, but I'll tell you off. Might be a little bit too much.
Nothing's too much.
But yes, it's definitely something I highly, highly recommend anybody try, and just see how it makes you feel. That's what you do, isn't it?
It is. Just try it, and actually try it in the bath. Like, that's a whole new game.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
I might see if the guides want to talk about that.
Because I really feel like, you know, you were saying you lost all time and space. I'm going to try it in labour.
Wow. And you know what? I did a talk about the humming to the Australian Red Tent, and amazingly, the women there were saying that loads of them have just had babies, and they were saying that they felt called to hum through labour.
Wow.
And what my guides were saying in that was that, you know, the new babies coming in really the humming really helps them. So if you're pregnant, or you can do it in labour, because it's helping them to come into the new age rather than the old age, and
yes,
that they get the Aquarian DNA and frequencies rather than the Piscean ones. And so it's really amazing to do.
So when you said about the water, so I want a water birth,
amazing,
humming and the water, it's going to be magical. And my podcast comes out in a few weeks, but I'm going to obviously be talking about my birthing experience. So
brave. And I'm sure we don't have time now, but I'd love to. My guides have channeled a lot about lost ceremonies, and a lot of them are connected to the time of birth and after birth and stuff like that. So I'd love to pass that information.
Well, we'll get you on the podcast as well. So yes. So if we wanted to end, I don't know whether you wanted to see if something comes in for the followers and the guests.
Yeah, let's see
if anything comes in. Do you want me to close my eyes or anything? Or just
whatever feels right in your heart.
I'm gonna just go into a bit of a meditative state.
I am of the light, I am of the earth. I am open and expanded. My heart is overflowing with love, and I ask for the highest level guidance to flow through me now. Dear children of love, children of light, we speak to you now with great joy in our hearts. We are the priestesses of the Lemuria Aquaria timeline. We are your sisters, your teachers, your friends, for you are priestesses of this timeline too. And we speak to you of coming inside the bath or water. We say to you that at the time of Moria, the water, dawn of Lemuria, the water became coded with what can be described as the codes of aliveness. Essentially, water in the time of the dawn of Lemuria became the source of life as you know it, the source of vitality. And when you hum in order to receive the Eden frequencies inside of water, you allow these frequencies, these seeds of the dreams of Gaia to flow into and infuse with the aliveness, Lemurian codes that are infused into all water, that are part of the cycle of water and the creation of light, information, light as formation, vibration into form. And by bringing the Eden frequencies into water, you are helping to bring them to life. Because you have water in your bodies, oceans inside every cell. When you hum in water, one with the water, you bring the Eden frequencies into the aliveness codes in the water inside your cells. And you become alive with these new frequencies that are beyond bliss. And we say to those of you who are pregnant that humming in the water is even more essential for you, because your wombs are filled with water. Your wombs are filled with the sacred water of the mother. And as you fill your womb water with the Eden frequencies of Aquarius, you are creating the waters of life for Aquarius, and allowing the baby inside to harmonize with the highest possible life potential. As an Aquarian being, the babies that are being born this year need extra support in terms of not absorbing the old Piscean Akashic, the old Piscean DNA. And this humming practice is one of the ways in which you can support the baby in being born as Aquarian and not Piscean. And one of the ways that you can support the baby in not having uninfused DNA. And so they're just asking me to explain this, and they are saying there is no fear to be had. If you have this knowledge, then the knowledge is enough. But because we're in such a process of metamorphosis at this time, it's quite huge for babies. The babies that are being born are very, very old souls, because they have to be because they, you know, they have to have such a level of sovereignty to be born at this time where the Piscean and the Aquarian Akashic are crossing over, and there's metamorphosis and melting going on in the whole of the human collective. And so these babies just have to have such a strong sovereign energy not to end up with corrupted DNA. And how you can support that is through the humming in the bath or in the water. You can do it with your feet in a foot bath. You can do it in the shower. You can do it in the bath. But also, really, they are saying, really filling your womb as often as possible, just imagining emerald light in your womb and white light around the edge of your womb, because it will help your baby to harmonize into the new Akashic and not get it's like they're showing me like fuzziness from all of the melting that's going on, and so it will mean they have a much more high vibrational life. Otherwise they come in with fuzziness and have to clear it, basically. And so when they're saying corrupted DNA, it's not physically corrupted, it's like more about the soul plan, the blueprint. That's the clearest. That's the way it will be clearest if you fill your womb with emerald light and imagine white light around the edge of your womb, just to support the sovereignty of the soul, because they're the souls that are going to really we're the souls that are here now are the souls that are here to do the crossover, and these ones that are being born are the ones that are going to do the creation of the new age. And so they're the ones that really need to have that kind of clear Aquarian frequency.
Thank you.
I hope that's helpful.
That's really helpful, and I'm in a few groups which I'm sure will absolutely love that message. And obviously, lots of mummies that are expecting, and yeah, it's really lovely. So thank your guides.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. And yeah, thank you for giving up your morning for this. And yeah, as you said, usually there's some resistance before there's something magical, and I didn't know that that's what message you were going to give today. And
never did I.
Lovely for me as somebody that's obviously expecting. And I'm sure there'll be lots of other mums that will be really useful for. So that's all my goal is every day. You know, I'm here to serve and to support, and even if it's just one person every single day, then I'm making a difference.
Well, thank you so much for your beautiful path, and thank you so much for bringing me in to be part of it. And I think you're walking a very, very special high vibrational path, and you have a very, very special baby.
I feel like she's going to be
way.
very, very special as well. I really do.
Her energy is huge.
Yeah, I really, really feel like she's going to be a little goddess, and she's different as well. I really feel that already.
You can feel that.
Yes.
I agree. So.
Yes, so I'm going to end that now, and I thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll have a chat after the call. So I thank you everybody that has watched the video today. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the Healing Rooms page. I'm going to leave all of the details for Kahreela into the comments of the video, so you'll be able to find her. I know that a few of my clients are really interested in getting a really deeper spiritual connection. I've had quite a few come to me recently, and obviously I only do up to so much, you know, channeling into yourself, and Kahreela is more channeling into the divines. Obviously her details will be available, and if you haven't got your ticket for the Healing Fest already, it is only £37 for 2 days of 20 experts in holistic health. There's going to be something for women that are pregnant, going through menopause, there's yoga, there's sound baths, and all of it is going to be available for you to download if you can't make the full 2 days. I do advise that people do turn up for the live viewing though, because of course you can ask questions and it's more interactive that way. And if you are working frontline at the moment, we are sending these good vibes out to you all of the time, and I want to offer you a 50% discount. So it's just £18.50 for 2 days, and this would be so good to fill up your cup, you know, going out there yourself out there. So the link for that is going to be on the video as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And goodbye.